Welcome to this lecture where we'll talk about how you can create a new project. When you open up Photoshop CC 2019, this is what you're going to get. Most of this interface displays your recent projects. This is very helpful, especially if you use the thumbnail mode, because you can quickly identify a project by its preview. You can also change the viewing mode to List through this icon. This shows you several bits of information that are missing from the other mode, but all in all I suggest you stick with this one, and let's focus on the stars of this welcome screen, these two buttons. Open is as straightforward as it can be. Click it or use the hotkey Ctrl-O and you'll get to browse around your computer. You can open any image in any format. If you're interested about your limitations, just click on this drop-down and a huge list will appear. Those are all the formats Photoshop recognizes. Now let's move on to our bread and butter, the New Document window. I always use the hotkey Ctrl-N, especially when I'm already inside a project. Alternatively, you can go to File, New. In this window, you'll get a bunch of options in Photoshop CC 2019. This is aimed at helping beginners jumpstart their work. The first tab shows your most recent projects. If you're in a hurry, you can hit Enter and you'll open up the last thing you've used. I suggest you move to the Web tab for this course. Most of what we're about to do is intended for web use, so this is your best starting point. In the top part, Photoshop shows us some presets we might be interested in. For example, I can start a new web design project with this Web Large 1920 by 1080 preset. In case you want more options, click on View All Presets. In general, I'd say most of these are useless because on the right side we can input our settings manually and this is the best way to go about it. Plus, we can always change our canvas size at any point in the project. Before we switch to that area, let me show you how these templates work. Click on any preview and you'll see its information on the right side. Things like its name, author, short description and so on. If you're not sure about it, you can see a bigger preview by clicking on See Preview. Here it is, and you can scroll through this document. OK, let's download it and see what it's all about. It'll take a moment to sync it to your computer. After it's done, the download button will change to Open. And here it is. It's ready to be edited, so feel free to jump into it guns blazing. For experienced Photoshop users, please note the document is labelled as Untitled. That's because these templates come under a new extension, .psdt, where the T stands for template. Let's go back to the New Document window. The project we downloaded is going to be available in the Recent tab. If you want to see only your templates, those are stored under Saved. But say these aren't for you. How do you set your own values? You can do that from any tab, including Recent. My advice is you first switch to Web because most of these settings are good to go for us. The most important values are the width and the height. This is what you'll adjust most of the time. Again, this can be edited later, but let's go with 2000 by 1000 pixels. If you want to quickly swap your width and height values, click on the grayed out orientation icon. We'll discuss artboards a bit later on, but by default, Photoshop will assume you'll want to use them for your web projects. If that's not the case, you should uncheck this option. I personally recommend you do that. The standard resolution for web projects is 72 pixels per inch. That can remain as is because it's the correct setting. The same goes for RGB color. That stands for red, green, blue, and again, that's the standard alongside the 8-bit setting to its right. Older Photoshop users might want a transparent canvas to start with. By default, it sets to white. If you simply click it, you won't see transparent in this initial list. This is a big blunder by Adobe. They force us to scroll down in order to see the last two options, one of them being transparent. That's a curious decision that's taken a lot of people by surprise. Finally, if you want to save your custom settings, enter a name for this document and hit this icon. Press on Save Preset, and now you'll find it in the Saved tab alongside your downloaded templates. Lastly, if you don't like this new window, you can use the old one from the previous releases. Close it and open up your preferences from Edit, Preferences, General. From here, enable Use Legacy New Document Interface. Hit OK and try it out with Ctrl-N. As you can see, now you're using the old method we spoke about earlier. My advice? Use the new one even though it's a bit slower than this legacy version. And that concludes this lecture. I'll see you soon.